तो वो फॉरवर्ड कर दो ना, लिंक एंड जूम, जूम एंड यूट्यूब लिंक दोनों एक साथ होंगे। हरे कृष्णा एवरीवन, थैंक यू फॉर joining. लेट मी शेयर माय स्क्रीन। हरे कृष्णा राम मुकुंद प्रभु।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
धन्यवाद। आवाज क्लियर है प्रभु?
यस प्रभु।
यस प्रभु, या यस क्लियर।
Okay, so let's begin with the Mangalacharan prayer. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Rupa Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन विद्यन्तस्तो यभद्राणि विदुनोति सुतां नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवते वया भगवतीतमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। हरे कृष्ण। प्लीज म्यूट योरसेल्फ। Okay, so we are discussing from Canto 3, Chapter 6. We completed last time and we started our topic attention to details. So, in this particular chapter, chapter number 6, and subsequently chapter number 7, in chapter number 6, or before prior to that, we see that Maharishi Vidur, or Mahatma Vidur, Maharishi is Krishna. Krishna.
Oh, Vidura.
And Maitreya Rishi.
Maitreya Rishi. Even I am not happy.
So here you'll see this picture that there is Mahatma Vidur and Maitreya Rishi. The discussion is going on between both of them. Where is it going on? This is Maitreya Rishi.
The banks of.
This is bank of Ganges at Haridwar. Right. So Vidurji, during the travel, he goes to various places. Finally, he hears that Krishna has left this material world. So he was very deeply sad about it. But he meets Uddhava on the way at Vrindavan Dham. And he heard from Uddhava that Krishna was actually remembering him before leaving this planet. So he was very sad, and actually very sad in the sense Krishna left, but he was very happy. So in ecstasy, there was tears flowing. And then finally, he asked all the questions. They had a discussion all night. And he asked question, what really um, was the discussion between you and Krishna, Uddhava and Krishna, why before he left the planet. So he wanted to hear that discussion. However, Lord Krishna had a plan for Uddhava. So Uddhava had to go to Badrikashram to explain or to give them his association. Because Uddhava was as qualified as Krishna himself. Krishna thinks like that. That Uddhava is as qualified as me. Therefore, he is my best representative. And he wanted to give association to Naranarayan Rishi. Then in our Bhagavatam prayer, we Narayana Namaskrityam. Naram Chaiva Narottama. Narottama is Arjuna. Narayana is Krishna himself, actually. So, basically, he met them, um, and he couldn't. He said that I was when the discussion was going on. Actually, Krishna was directly speaking to Maitreya Rishi. However, that was not true. That is humility of Uddhava. But Maitreya Rishi was present there, and he heard that discussion. So he said, "Why don't you go to Maitreya Rishi? He's in Haridwar, and then you can hear relish Krishna Katha from him." So he goes to Haridwar. And then he meets with Rishi and he asks several questions. But because he had asked several questions, he wanted to um, give him a hint that where should he begin. So he said that you start with creation. So then Maitreya Rishi in chapter 6 talks about creation. In chapter 5 and 6, he gives the elaborate discussion of the creation. So in chapter 7, in the beginning of chapter 7, because Maitreya Rishi is such an elevated personality, It's just by seeing Vidura's expressions, he understood that Vidura is not, though Vidura said, actually, I'm completely satisfied by your explanation. But just seeing by his expression, he could understand that he is not satisfied. He has some doubts. And then he had some doubts, actually. And then he presents him those doubts. And those doubts are really nice doubts to understand because this discussion will keep on unfolding in Canto 3, 4, particularly 3 and 4. And the end of Canto 4, Vidura will go back to Hastinapur, and then he will help Dhritarashtra to leave his body. So that's what is the storyline. So therefore, because this topic of minute attention to details, we are taking this topic of attention to details and how we fail in this particular area. And then this particular topic is for all of us, including me. Therefore, I kept a disclaimer right in the beginning that this is for my own much understanding. It is not to judge anybody. So as we progress in bhakti, the details, attention to detail matters. It really matters because that's where we are building a relationship with Krishna. And when we are building a relationship with Krishna, one has to be very attentive. Because attention means caring. Inattention means you are not caring about the person. So here, Krishna also, recognizes this and indirectly gives hints in different places in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and many other places. That it's such an important thing that when you care about somebody, you pay attention to the needs of that person. Right? So this becomes a very, because in material life, we are geared towards self-centeredness. Everything is geared towards self. And we are so much accustomed to it that we bring the same tendencies in bhakti. And if we continue to do that, we are not going to advance. So those who are serious in bhakti has to develop this. Though, when we go through these classes, you'll see a lot of faults in me also while I'm serving with all of you, right? But I expect you to, as a close associate, I expect you to correct me because this is my conditioning, right? Everybody has their own conditioning. So similarly, when we have this close relationship, it's easy to accept the correction from the other person. Right? But if the relationship is not there, then it hurts our ego. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please come. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So building this relation, this trust on the basis of this is so important. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami says that the relationship has to be on the basis of Swajatiya, Snigdhe, and Sattva. Swajatiya means like-minded devotees. We associate with like-minded devotees. Snigdhe, they are affectionate for us. They don't want anything from us. They are affectionate towards our feelings, our needs, and they want us to go back home, back to God. Right? So they are affectionate in that way. And then they are a little more advanced than us. Then it's beneficial for us, actually. So this kind of association is very, very critical in bhakti. So these anarthas, which we are going to discuss in quite a bit detail, is not something which is outside, it is within us. So we need to focus on the anarthas within us rather than outside. And of course, if we come across something which is very gross, if we have a relationship, we can tell them. So real struggle is not with others, but it is with the conditioning and tendencies which I have in my heart. Right. So in order to understand the subject matter, we'll have to go through an entire flow of thoughts, and it's like onion peeling, right? Layer after layer after layer, and then finally connecting everything. So this is what is going to happen in this like couple of sessions. Um, so may this discussion actually inspire all of us, and it helps us to deepen our humility and dedication to devotional service. And by the mercy of Sri Guru and Kuranga, we are surely going to attain this. So this is an example which of inattention which I gave about myself so many years back, in the temples, and so all the deities look same to me actually. Then one devotee helped me out. And then, when I started paying attention to those details, then, it revealed so many things. Right? So he also taught me how to actually take darshan, starting from the lotus feet and then slowly going up. Yeah. So this is an expression of love, our love for Krishna also. When we study Bhagavatam also, we don't jump to the 10th canto because 10th canto is rasa. Today probably we'll see if we come to that point. That everybody is interested in rasa, the topic of rasas, because this is very tasteful. It is very relatable to us, day-to-day life. However, there is a tattva that comes before the rasa. Our acharyas suggest that, especially Jiva Goswami. If you see the sandarbhas, it starts with the first one is a tattva sandarbha. Right? Then he eventually goes up. So we'll see all those examples. So the goal is moving from our attitude of mechanical service to heartfelt offering. This is our goal. Right? The goal is not the quantity, but the quality. Even if we are doing just taking one thing from one place to another, we do it with care and love and consciousness behind that, right? Otherwise, it's karma. So when even we go to temple and when we do any kind of service, what is the difference between service or seva and karma? Yeah. The karma is just externally doing things. Any actions which we do in our work also, it's basically karma. But seva is what? It brings the connection when we have loving affection for Krishna and when we are doing that thing for Krishna's pleasure. Then that becomes seva. So the details really reflect the consciousness. Now, from where all these topics have been coming from? So there are many, many books. I'm going to share all the details about the books at the end. And it includes Sandarbhas, that include Harinam Chintamani, Jaiva Dharma in particular. All these books have these details and then it is interconnected. So it has been pegged up and there are sources. It has been picked up from various sources. Okay. So the details reflect consciousness. Right? The essence of bhakti is not about physical object, but about devotion behind it. Is it like even if you are offering a flower, like, a person may just offer the flower for the purpose of offering. But is it being done in a clean way? Right? Is it properly offered with the proper mood of offering? Right? And the mantras chanted carefully or not, right? So Krishna over here, we see that he's saying in Bhagavad Gita, he's mentioning that even if you give me a piece of flower, or if you offer me patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, anything, he why is using these terms? Why is not saying, oh, you offer me a full plate of prasad, 25 items, chappan bhog, with none of them having, proper thing, and a nice decoration.
Whatever the ability is.
Yeah, whatever is your ability. Yeah, this is not looking for the quantity. If you are just giving a patra, that is okay. The pushpa patra means you can get leaf from anywhere. Pushpa you get from anywhere. You can go from anywhere, right? Fruits or water. All these things are abundantly available. But the main thing Krishna is looking is bhakti. Bhakti. Bhaktya prayachati. Tadaham bhakti uparhitam. When you are giving it with bhakti, then I accept. I'm not short of anything. Krishna is not short of any of the things. Everything is available. Krishna has Ichha Shakti, means he desires and things happen. Right? So can't he get things what we are offering to him? So how affection manifests in service? In the material world, profound attention to detail is the natural for those we deeply love. And the examples we saw that mother takes so much care in feeding the child. Why? Because this is her love, her natural love, and therefore she meticulously take care of the child. So similarly, we have examples from scripture where Raghav Pandit prepared hundreds of items. Now, the ability to do more, because what happens is when we carry the tendency of whatever is there in the material world, in our work, the main tendency is competitiveness. Because if there is no competitiveness, we don't survive, we don't thrive. So the same consciousness we come and bring it to temple. And we see some devotees are empowered to do more. And we see that and then we desire, okay, I also want to. Maybe it's not competition, but we have desire, okay, I want to do more. While doing more, we lack the attention to details. And that's where even after doing more, we feel this exhaustion of doing service. It's when you are satisfied, you will not be exhausted. Yeah. There was a I have given this example many times, like, and this was the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, was asked the question. I mean, he works like 16, 18 hours, right? But he's tirelessly working. So kids asked him question. This was a discussion in Gujarati. How can you work for so many hours? Right? So his answer was simple, that I derive satisfaction from working. Basically, he's saying I do work as offering to the Lord. So I derive satisfaction in working. And when I derive satisfaction in working, it's not a botheration anymore. It's not a botheration. So 16, 18 hours is actually a bliss for me. Right? So if you like to do something, right, you continue to do. Like, for example, a cricket match. Many of us like cricket match, and in the finals we sit together for 7, 8 hours. But if somebody tells us to sit and even for a 1 hour or half an hour reading Bhagavatam, it is very difficult. Yeah. Why? So that is the point, that is deriving satisfaction of heart. That's where we are going to go eventually. Right? So what trains our mind? The DT service. Therefore, when we take shelter of a guru, right, the guru actually gradually pulls the devotee uh, from the lower stages of sadhana bhakti, and he's trying to pull us to sadhana, to bhava, to all going through all the stages. So one of the things in the journey is Archana. And Archana means deity worship, is specifically designed for training. It's educational thing. It's for training our mindfulness. Because Archana requires a lot of details. Right? Starting from, every small things which we do in the altar requires a lot of attention. But if our mind is distracted, we'll forget those steps. Like for every jewelry you're picking up, you have to do hachaman and clean the hands every time so those we don't have habit of doing that in the home. But while archana, we have to do all those things. So it's a gradual training. Over the period of time, over the few years, you develop that, and then that it's become part of our second nature. So it's training us to remember that. And also, while doing Archana, if we are not hearing, then that Archana again becomes a
Mechanical.
process. Right? So Prabhupada uses the term, it is not Vigraha, it doesn't appear to us as Vigraha, but it is Galagraha, means it's a Galagraha means it's a Bengali term. Galagraha means um, it's like a burdensome.
Mm.
Right? The same activity which is supposed to give us satisfaction, relishment, you know, that becomes a burdensome. Right? So this, when we are trained to remember while performing the service, that this is not an ordinary work, this is a service to the Supreme Person. He is a person. And when we put that attention, then it, first of all, it develops and it helps us developing the reverence, and it's not becomes artificial, like it's an arbitrary ritualism. Right? So deity service needs a lot of cleanliness, right? Personal purity, attention, attentive presence and focus, right? Precise timing and altar arrangements, right? Careful mantra pronunciation, so many details are there. So this helps us train our mind, right? So, but while doing this, if our mind is doing it mechanically rather than it's just a habitual thing, if your mind is trained to do that way, then even the duty service will become like monotonous things, right? And same thing will get reflected in the further services, because now this has become the de facto nature of our mind, right? So therefore, if we are, this was a question that was asked one time in the class, right? That in 2 hours, how do we put our attention to the class, to the japa? But this 2 hours, for that 2 hours, you have to prepare for 22 hours. When you are prepared in those 22 hours, then those 2 hours can become successful. We can attempt to make that 2 hours successful. Right? Otherwise, it will not. So it's not again the quantity, even a single name in Hari Nam Chintamani. Yeah. In Hari Nam Chintamani, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains it that even one name is enough actually. You don't need more than one name. Krishna's one name has that potency. eh, eh, Has the potency to deliver us. Even one name. We don't have to chant so many names. But why devotees chant so many names? Because it's prescribed by the acharyas, given by the guru. And purification takes a long time. So it's a practice. Right? So if even one name is chanted properly, right, a single attentive holy name can hold far more spiritual values than thousands of names chanted inattentively. So one has to pay attention. Small acts create gira. Even small thing, even folding the clothes. If you, I'm just particularly talking about altar service. Those who are us who are pujaris or who are going to become pujari will know all these things. That even I've seen very nicely devotees have done. They fold the cloth which we use actually for bathing the Lord. There is so much stack. So they meticulously fold each and every one of them, they stack it nicely. So this is somebody who is doing that service. They are putting a lot of attention and then putting it, stacking it proper. It's not randomly. Right? But at the same time, we see the jewelry is also randomly placed everywhere, mixed, right? So that's where the attention is not there, because you need to see that, oh, there's a necklace. The necklace has to go to the place where the necklaces are stored, not where the rings are stored. Because if you put there, then the person who is coming the next day, you'll have difficult times finding the jewelries. So what happens is, that we have a tendency that when we do some actions, it has to be noticed. The- So if that tendency is there, the attention will not be there. The tendency of not seeing Krishna sitting in our heart as Paramatma. Right? That tendency, it actually comes over the period of time. Yeah.
I think we are sort of trained because the whole reward system,
Reward system is there, right?
we are trained like that.
Yes.
That is a
And
problem.
that is a problem. And that's for
And so we expect reward for, like how the dogs are trained. Similarly, we are also trained like the dogs.
absolutely, yeah. And then we expect reward, and our reward system is, oh, this devotee will praise me, or somebody will
Yeah.
praise me.
Yeah.
Somebody will see my service. If I am cooking nicely, somebody has to appreciate my food, what I am cooking. It is us-centered rather than Krishna-centered.
Right. And also the other thing, at least for me, is when I start something, I start with enthusiasm, interest, and everything.
Yeah.
And then when it becomes repetitive,
Yes.
then slowly it becomes mechanical. Over a period of time, it just becomes more and more mechanical.
Therefore, after a period of time, as you are saying, right? After a period of
Change
time,
the service.
yes. No, not change the service. Then that's where the Sambandha Gyan comes in.
Yeah.
Slowing down and working on the Sambandha Gyan.
You need to think, step back,
Yes.
and meditate.
Slow down, step back, meditate.
Meditate, yeah.
Meditate on what Nididhyasana, the steps are there.
Yeah.
Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. If that doesn't happen, then it becomes a mechanical service. And it is a slow process. It is not something that is overnightly done. It's a very slow process because Nididhyasana takes a long time. Meditation takes a long time.
Like
So
Gauranga Prabhu was, talking about Gopakumar. Right?
yeah.
So in Goloka Vrindavan, daily, Krishna leaves.
Same thing happening, right?
Same thing happening, but then the
enthusiasm is more and more. Yeah.
Intensity is increasing, not decreasing.
Yeah. Why?
Even
That
though
is
it
a
is
very, very nice point.
Even though it is repetitive,
yeah,
the intensity is only
increasing, right? Because of their connection with Krishna.
Yeah.
Prabhu, somebody is talking.
Yeah, Prabhu. Haribol. I have. So you were saying about this giving, offering only a leaf or a flower or fruit, right?
Yes.
With devotion. So I remember there's one more pastime. I don't know if it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where the Brahmin is offering something, even just in his mind, like some porridge or something, and he puts his hand and it gets burnt.
Yeah.
So he was not even offering a real thing. He was offering.
It's in Chaitanya.
Very nice point. Very nice point. Thank you for bringing it up. Yeah. It's a. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be, as Krishna doesn't look for any of, he's just looking for the love. See, the Brahman doesn't have anything, as you say, and the pastime is so beautiful that even if the Brahman doesn't have any, Krishna doesn't want that actually, because Krishna is not looking for the material things.
Even when we are like traveling and we don't have the facility to actually offer in the mind.
Yeah.
And that is
offer in the mind. Yeah, purification in the mind. Om apavitro pavitro, right? By chanting that mantra, you can purify yourself at any place. So here, see, the general thing is like unseen effort. Temple guest may never even notice the spotless corners, a perfectly folded cloth, or a precisely timing offering. Right? Who is a true audience in this case, actually?
Krishna.
Krishna, exactly. In Bhagavad Gita, right, BG 2.47, right? That verse says, कर्मण्येव अधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचनम मा कर्मफल हेतुभ्यो माते संगोस्तु अकर्मणि. So the other three condition is, first condition is your adhikar is karma, right? But you're not entitled to the result. Don't think you're the cause of the result, and don't be not attached to doing this. So for what purpose we are doing, right? The same verse. Now we can go deeper into that same verse. For whom are we doing? Who is noticing? Yes, Krishna is noticing. Right? So Krishna is not judging us by the results. Krishna is judging us by the efforts we are putting behind the activity, behind the action. Right? Upadrashta Numantascha, right? So that unseen effort, when we understand, right, our focus is not at the wrong place while performing the service. Right? Currently, it is in the place, oh, who is seeing I am doing this seva? Right? Krishna is there in the heart, right? Right now, we are not seeing, oh, Krishna is there in the heart, he is watching us doing it. And then we'll see later on that there are devatas who are actually engaged in helping us doing the service. Right? So the true audience is Krishna, right? But Krishna notices is he sees the profound devotion behind unseen quiet efforts. Right? He is watching. He is the one for him who is we are doing. We are not doing it for the people in general, not for the. Of course, we are trying to please our guru also, right? But guru is always connected with Krishna. So the true audience is Krishna, right? So bhakti advances through hundreds of seemingly insignificant sincere act. Prabhupada, one time there was a lady in Vrindavan. Every day in the morning, she'll go to Yamuna and fill a pot of water and bring it for Krishna Balaram. One day she didn't, for a few days she didn't come. Prabhupada noticed that. Where is that lady? So they came and told her, oh, she passed away. Prabhupada said, I'm sure she has gone back to home. She was not doing to show devotees that I am getting water. I'm just getting water for pleasing Krishna Balaram. And even if Krishna Balaram doesn't notice or devotees don't notice, doesn't matter normally. So these are small acts. But however, our tendency is to look for big acts. So basically, impersonal mindset versus personal. Impersonal is not only, Brahman realization, but impersonalism secretly entered through. And if you hear the class of Radhika Raman Prabhu, right? He explains, amazingly explains. He has given
That's a default position.
That's a default position, impersonalism. Impersonalism is a default position where, impersonal service mindset, where, we say, oh, anyway, it is fine. Personalism means you are having connection, you are having relationship, you are loving, you are caring about that person. Right? So the impersonal mindset is, I want to get the project done. So impersonalism is project over people. People or person.
Yeah, we also have in the corporate world progress against perfection.
Yeah.
Here, basically, we want to do things perfectly for Krishna.
Yes.
Not just
Yes.
get it done. Good
Yeah,
enough.
No, it's good enough. Let's move forward. Next.
Yeah.
Next. What's next? Yeah, that's that because that tendency carry forward. Again,
Yeah.
but remember, we are having the same mind. We are bringing in the same tendency. And spiritual life means person over project. So His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, he stresses on this point. Even if you are doing big project, but you are not able to satisfy the devotees, what good is that project? So this is what we have to actually inculcate in ours. And then this is when we put people at the center, we made emotions of the devotees at the center, emotions of Krishna at the center, then that becomes personalized service. So personal service mindset is, how would Krishna like this done, right? Seeking or doing it for Krishna's pleasure, right? So moving from functional neglect to deep personalism is a very essence of awakening the process of bhakti. This is a transformation we'll have to work through. And it is not a gradual overnight switch on and off thing. It doesn't happen. Why it doesn't happen? We are going to see in the next session. Perfectionism versus thoughtful offering. Right? So again, it doesn't mean that we are putting a lot of efforts and you are very careful in doing the service. That doesn't mean we cannot do more service. But when we are putting attention, at the same time, the more attention you put, actually you can do the things faster. Our attention is somewhere else. Therefore, even whatever we are doing, the attention is distracted. We are not going to be able to do that thing properly and quickly. Right? So Here again, rules and details exist for support of devotion, not to replace with anxiety or fault finding. When we follow the rules, there are so many rules by performing um, the services, but that is not for the purpose of fault finding. That is the purpose of creating intense devotion towards Krishna. Right? So these are some examples given. Right? String flower quickly, and another garland maker, he makes it's the same garland made by two devotees. Some devotees get it haphazardly done, and you can see that actually. Because we go for services, right? We see that there are small details, like the end of the thread. Sometimes it is just tied. If you tie it, you cannot untie it. You have to cut it and then extend the length of because if the length doesn't fit, you have to cut it, put the thing. So somebody who is thoughtful will put a knot in such a way that the knot easily comes out. So we see those all kind of things. Right? So quantity versus quality. Right? The reality is, we need both actually. We need quantity as well as quality. But if by increasing the quantity, if we are missing the quality, that is not going to make us satisfied. Of course, it's not going to make others also satisfied. Right? So I'm going to share and I already shared this slide with all of you, but you go into details for reading, because this I think we covered to some extent last week.
Prabhu, one question.
Yeah.
Prabhu, there are different types of karma that we do. You were speaking about giving direct service to Krishna and attention to detail for that one, as much as possible, highest level of attention. Then there are indirect services also we give. Okay? Maybe serving in the temple, like serving to other devotees. That is also in a way indirect service to Krishna. Then there is like our regular work, whatever is our karma we are doing, and that too is basically when we are doing a karma, we are anyway offering to Krishna, saying that okay, I am doing it for you. Whether we are working, whether we are doing farming, whatever, it is for you. Attention to detail, what you're talking about is only for direct.
No, for everything.
So the last level of karma, the everyday work that we do always. How can we always be really making attentive when doing it? Like how?
Yeah. No, so
if
you
we do not do, we are not doing justice then.
Yeah, because see, we see our spiritual life is not secular. This portion is for Krishna, this portion is for us. It is entire. Krishna conscious means your entire day, starting from you get up to take shower, to go to sleep, and anything between. Entire day should be filled with Krishna consciousness. How? Because you connect everything as a service to Krishna, as an offering to Krishna. Now, you mean by counting money, right? Let's say you are, I have counted money several times in the temple. Right? I have seen devotees who are counting the money, and the notes. Let's say I'm talking about the Gandhiji notes, because that's easy to understand. So in some of the places, the note of, let's say, 500 rupees note, a 10 rupees note, 15 rupees, 20 rupees note, like different notes are there. Some devotees I have seen, very meticulous. Even it's because they connect that with Krishna's service. Now, note counting is not part of the service, right? I mean, you think it's an external thing. But in that also, put the head of Gandhiji in one place. Not, I would put randomly here and there, right? So this is where the details are coming into picture. Now, just it takes few seconds to change the notes, and nobody will notice actually. Right? But it is for Krishna's pleasure. This Lakshmi that is coming is energy of Krishna. And that energy of Krishna has to be used in his service. So the more attention I put, will it make a difference if I put Gandhiji's face here and there? Tell me.
Not really.
Not really. It will make a difference. I'll tell you how. When you put in a note machine, in the counting, it may make a difference, right? Because it will be scan. Okay, it will scan, yeah. Anyway, the person who is putting, even the notes ups and down, he's giving attention to even small things which he can skip. So Vaisheshika Prabhu, if I find the class, it'd be very nice. He gave a class entire on this. So he's Vaisheshika Prabhu. He's Prabhupada disciple from San Francisco. And he is talking about cutting corners. Okay. So this is a part of cutting corners. This is and then I've given the next topic the same thing what he generally speaks about. Where attention goes, energy flows. Okay. So even small things. Of course, our mind is distracted. Because if the mind is distracted, we will try to cut the corners. Now, generally, why have you ever investigated why I cut corners?
I think we just feel satisfied when we say it's done.
Yeah.
Just,
So we are getting satisfaction. That's the one reason. Right? Or it is done. I have done one activity. Right? I have completed one service. So again, what is the satisfaction measurement?
Krishna's.
I have done one service.
That is how we.
Yes.
So, for example, if we are cleaning the temple,
Yes.
that is this what we are doing.
Yeah.
Then we cannot cut corners. We are paying 100% attention, doing it the fullest.
Yeah.
Now we also clean our home.
Yes.
Some people are so much maniac that they will look for each and every small corners and dirt and everything. And because of that, other people in the home they get
Yeah. So that's a bit done. Yeah.
How long can you clean? So
I mean, so
That's
that's
on the
so
it
somebody
cannot
is there who is a perfectionist in the family, they will create problems for the others.
Yeah. But at the same time, that person who is perfectionist has to understand, has to be mature perfectionist.
Right.
There are immature perfectionists. Immature perfectionist, I am doing it, you also do it. Right? Mature perfectionist is, I am doing it for my, this is the way I do things. In you, and you are okay. And I am okay with you not doing the way the things are. Even if you have missed something, I will cover it up. And they are satisfied by this because that they see they even again this is a normal way of thinking, but in terms of service, when we go into examples like this, in terms of service, that person, if he connects that seva, whether it is done by you or left some, let's say, a lot of times, I leave my plates on my desk. Right? It's something I'm in a meeting and I'm eating some fruits and. Right? So the thing is that, and then forget and then working on something, and by the evening I'll see, oh, there's something I need to take it. So the point is that if we make others suffer because of our service things, that is also not good. Okay. So yeah, we do the maximum thing which we and then we cannot overdo things also, right? Like if you cannot take like 3 hours to just fold the clothes. It has to be a reason, huh? Yeah, which is perfect. It has to be reasonable speed with reasonable attention to details. And certainly we'll miss things, and which is okay. Certainly we see missing. Like one time my Guru Maharaj came in my home, right? We cleaned everything. Before he comes, you clean the entire room. Every nook and corner. And this is now the things have changed here. But Prabhupada used to be here.
Yeah.
You see the Prabhupada picture used to be. Right? So he came in our home, he took darshan, directly came to Prabhupada. And you see that bottom thing? Prabhupada, where is the stick? The frame is there, right?
Mhm.
He put his hand like this. Yeah, he did that and showed it to me. And then he didn't say anything else. But except that, we craved every corner. So that gave me a thing that, I was trying to do something external, and Guru, who is representative of Krishna, right? Krishna is sitting in his heart. Through him, Krishna told me that, that was not enough. Right? This was not done, of course, we are doing it to please Guru Maharaj. That he because he likes cleanliness. Same thing with the car, He wants the car immaculately clean. But most of the time, my car is dirty. Anyway, the point is that one has to be, meticulous about things to the extent they can and tolerate others.
And just one thing I want to clarify.
Yeah.
You mentioned direct service, indirect service, and all that. There's nothing called direct or indirect. Everything is direct service because Krishna is there even in our hearts. Right. So whatever service we're doing, it's all direct because it's there everywhere.
So therefore, if you see the example of here, this person is cleaning the outside the temple. Of course, but he can clean in his home. This is cooking in the temple, but this is book distribution. Now the book distributors generally go out and do the book distribution. They are not in their comfort zone. Right? It's one of the most difficult service. So both are required, right? Both are required. So again, the spiritual aspect of this is the competition is natural. Normally we compete with each other. Now that is also natural. Competition is there in the spiritual world also. Right? Devotees compete with each other. But for whom they are competing, that's the thing. Right? So the gopis, the gopas, Yashoda Maya, they compete by asking, how can we serve Krishna so that he receives more pleasure? And in the conditioned mind, will say, how can I accomplish more than others? Right? So that is the difference. Krishna is at the center of both this. So healthy competition increases devotion, whereas ego-driven competition breeds anxiety. Right? Why anxiety? Because I want to beat the other person. Yeah, I want to prove myself better than the other person. So there is always some anxiety in the mind. So when speed compromises the standard, so you see over here different pictures with this is the worst standard. This is the gold standard. Both are needed. Not worst standard is not needed, but speed is needed as well as the cleanliness and all these things are also very needed. Right? So when quantity becomes liability, the most speed begins to degrade in standard of care. When you increase the quantity, more than can you do. You eat like, you eat more than you can chew. What will happen? Indigestion. You will not be satisfied. Your stomach will not be satisfied. Next day again problem. So all these subsequent problems will be there. So healthy expansion is distribute more, cook more. Expansion is needed. The moment is for expansion. But the standard cannot be, while maintaining the care, the standard cannot go reduce. Right? So this again, the example of a royal guest factory where they are serving hundreds of plates. It's like a queue. I went to Hyatt one time in the kitchen. I saw this hundreds of plates, almost identical. So that reminded me of this service they are doing. But then this person or a devotee or a mother, preparing for her child meticulously and, or a royal cooking for the king and meticulously presenting. This is a difference. This is done with care. So temple service, especially Archana, is a serving the Supreme King, not the operating as a factory. Right? The true metrics is how much did I accomplish, how much did I please, or how much pleasure Krishna received by my service. That is the measure. Right? Again, the similar kind of example, right, where too many things are taken into plate and not careful attention has been the trap of doing over service. Now, why we fall into this trap? Right? Because of our competitive nature, which is inherent competitive nature. Competition. More quantity feels better. Yeah. I have done more. So quality forms the foundation of quantity. Right? This is the foundation. If the foundation is good, and if it is consistent, we can increase. Right? Increase the standard. You keep increasing the standard. You go for a small standard. then maintain that for some time, then keep on increasing the standard as needed. Right? Okay. And this is possible by deepening our consciousness. Right? So in order to deepen our consciousness, we need to go to the second session and understand. But before going to the second session, I would like to, many of you are new, and there are terms which I'm going to use henceforth. So I would like to clarify those terms quickly. We have spent many hours understanding these terms. What are those terms? Antakaran, Vichitta,
Chitta, Mana,
Buddhi, Ahankar, Prana, right? And all these things, karma, and how these things how they work together. Because now we are going one layer deeper. Why this problem is there? That's the next topic. This is not the real topic, but the terms are which I'm going to use are from this. And once you have clear understanding of this, then only you can understand the steps, the next steps, and the solutions henceforth. Otherwise, we will not be able to build. The foundation is weak, we will not be able to understand. So I will quickly go through this and the notes will be shared with you. So read it, please read it. Those who have attended previous classes, previous sessions, have idea about what is being talked over here. So in the material existence, when the soul up is in the material world, how does he operate? Right? He is operating with the body. So the big picture is, what is this vehicle? What is the Ran Yantra Rudhani Maya? Right? What is the verse? Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Riddeshe Arjuna Tishtati Ramayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rudhani Maya. So Krishna explains that Ishvara Sarvabhutanam, Supreme Lord, is sitting in everyone's heart. Ishvara Sarva Riddeshe, in the region of heart, as a Paramatma. And this vehicle, this is particularly in the Jnana section of Bhagavad Gita from chapter 13 to 19, 18. Um, Krishna explains this into details. So he talks about Jiva in chapter number 13, the conscious, the Prakriti, also he talks about in 13, and he expands, of course, Paramatma is also there, and he expands that in the later chapter, and how the gunas work and all these things is giving in the idea in the 13 to 18 chapter, right? So Jiva is basically the observer, right? He is a participant as well as the observer. How he is the observer? Because Jiva doesn't do anything on its own. Jiva is, what is the size of Jiva? 1/10,000. Yeah. So that is the size, and it is spiritual in nature. So it cannot do anything on its own. So the help is then provided by whom? Provided by Paramatma, which is the guide sitting in the heart, right? Upadrashta Anumantascha Bhakta Bhakta Maheswara. So this is the 13.23rd verse. He is Upadrashta as well as he is permitter as well as he is observer. Upadrashta is observer. Anumanta, he is giving the permission. These are the two things the Paramatma is doing. There's a role of the Paramatma and the material nature, which provides the body, the mind, the intelligence, the senses, the virtual real suit, and colored by the three modes, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So Antakaran operates in three things, four ways. Actually, Antakaran is a combination of these four things: Buddhi, Manas, Chittas, and Ahankar. So Buddhi is the intelligence, decision maker. Manas is the mind which receives the information, right? Now remember, everything else other than Jiva that is dead, it is matter. It is either subtle matter or it is a gross matter. So whatever sensory things which we receive in our mind, who is receiving this? The senses are receiving this first. The eyes is just like a telescope. It receives the external stimulus. After receiving this external stimulus, then it goes to the chitta for identification purpose. Now there is a very detailed discussion on this. We already discussed it. I'm not going to go in the mind class. I'm not going to go into this. It compares and checks whether this is this or pattern matching, and it does all kind of things. But where is it matching the pattern? It is matching the pattern at the level of chitta, which is the subconscious reservoir. It's like a hard drive. It is checking against the hard drive, right? And then it fetches and all the information and the emotions and all the experiences with that particular object, and then it gives it to the buddhi for final identification, and buddhi makes a decision. Okay, this is what it is. Yes, this is what it is. Whatever.
This is the natural intelligence architecture.
Yeah, natural
Like the
intelligence.
AI.
And this information which chitta is giving, the emotions are processed here in the mind. Emotions related to that are processed in the mind. And that emotions actually connects that to that I experienced it, which is the false ego, which is ahankar. I liked it. I like pizza. I like rasgulla. I like gulab jamun. I hate this particular person. So all this is connected with I and mine. Right? This is all identification. And when we identify with myself, it becomes even stronger. Right? My child. Other's child is okay, right? My car, my home. Right? So this makes the identity even stronger. Right? When the cricket match is going on, my team, India, right? I'm from India, this is my team against Pakistan or whatever country they are playing with. Right? So this chitta is like a deep lake. This is the anatomy of the memory, lake of chitta. Then the chitta, this is the surface level, and this is a person. Who is this person?
Me.
Me, Jiva. Right? So Jiva is the observer. Therefore, your first picture you saw, Jiva has nothing to do with this. Jiva is the observer. Where is this happening? In the chitta. Chitta has various levels. Right? The deeper level is samskara, right at the bottom. Right? And that samskara is forming my conditioning, which is swabhava, the conditioned nature. Right? And then within that lake, there is a deep current, which is the vasanas, desires. Right?
Mhm. So vasanas are more strong samskaras.
Some samskara, yeah. Deeper samskara is the portion of the lake where it is not being touched. Remember the diagram we saw?
Yeah.
The lake, the focus of
The iceberg.
yeah, iceberg, yeah.
Yeah.
But we saw that lake thing where there is a focus on particular portion.
Yeah.
So that diagram.
But that will be chitta vritti, right?
Chitta vritti, no, is a chitta, and then there is transformation. External stimulus is performing some transformation.
That is,
Movements, that is vritti. So chitta vritti is the surface waves, a thought or a ripple surfacing in the conscious mind. Yeah.
So the water is this thing like
The water is this entire water
that's like the focus.
is the chitta. The entire focus, including the whole thing, is chitta.
The mud also.
Including, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about where the spotlight is.
Spotlight is the whole thing. Because this is the life we are focused on right now. Right? Of course, this expands into the previous life, which it's even more actually.
Right.
But if you take this one life,
yeah,
this is where a portion of, let's say there is a connection of the lake at various places, sure, but there is a boundary of the lake, but there is a small, which is connecting all the lakes. And you're looking at the portion of the lake, right?
I was trying to understand the difference between samskar and vasana. Because we use it in
generic.
We use it interchangeably.
Yeah, you use
but
even
there seems
for
to be a
difference. Yeah. So vasana is the desires. In general, vasana is a desire. I want to do this. The desire coming as from what? From the deep samskaras.
Yeah.
Right?
So based on it, it looks like samskara is essentially all impressions.
All impressions.
Vasana is more strong
Impression
impressions
currently
that
being
that
surfing.
surfaces
Yes.
more frequently.
More, yeah, another place it will come in the next slide. It will
Okay.
come. Not this one, but this is just a generic understanding.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to use this into the future. Because if I'm saying chitta, then you need to understand what I'm talking about, which portion I'm talking about. So it's a deep desires, and then chitta vritti is at the surface level, what is currently in my mind, right? So now you have seen that, while chanting, suddenly thoughts come up, isn't it? Out of nowhere. Or sometimes some external thoughts also, so we see some person and that triggers one thought, then goes to another, and a chain of thoughts. But most of the times, the thoughts, if you analyze in our mind, is coming without being asked for. Right? Why? Why does this pops up? So a dormant samskara mud generates a vasana current which breaches at the surface as chitta waves. No external trigger is needed. So who is doing this trigger? Yeah, so we are going to see that.
Is that Sarvasvicharam really?
We'll see. Yeah, let's go sequentially. How sense perception happens. So you see something, and we already talked about it. And so devatas are the intermediary um, administrator of different functions. Now we are studying Canto 3. And in Canto 3, we talked about, what did we talk about last thing? Chapter number 6. What were we discussing? Virat Rupa. Right? In Virat Rupa, what is happening? Various parts of the body is getting created. The eyes are getting created, the nose, everything. And then
The templates, basically.
Yeah, the templates are getting created. And who is entering into that? The controlling devatas. Right? For the mouth, it is Agni. Right? Agni is getting entering into the mouth. And like similarly for the eyes, it is Surya Dev. Right? For ears, it is directional deities, Dig Devatas. They all actually function together. So they are the controllers of all our senses. Why do we need them? Why do we need the devatas?
So they are the ones who are on behalf of the Lord.
Yeah, they are working in along with the conjunction of the three gunas and the Paramatma. So Paramatma is not here, but Paramatma. But why do we need the administrators? It's given here.
They have to be on behalf of the Lord.
Yeah. They act on behalf of the Lord. That's one thing. But on whose desire?
On the soul's desire.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm trying to just reconnect things, right? We have to always reconnect things. Going backward and forward, that will reconnect. So these devatas are actually administrators of various organs. They are following the instructions of whom? Jiva. Why? Because the Jiva has desired something, right? And the Paramatma, so he has desired, but he also deserves. There are two things. One is desire.
So that's a piece that was missing. That's why I was. Essentially, you put Parma, Upadrishta and then Anumanta.
Yeah.
So
desire
the
plus
Anumanta is.
Anuminta is the deserve.
Yeah.
We may desire, but do we deserve it actually? Based on our past karma, karmic thing, the Paramatma makes that arrangement. So desire plus deserve of Jiva, right? And then he is allowed to do certain things, and who carries out? Devatas carry out. So essentially, this is discussed in chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita, towards the end of where the role of Paramatma, Krishna introduced in chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita. So this is what it is. Now, when we desire something, right, and we deserve, then it goes through the cycle. This goes through the cycle of three. So the Vishaya, which is the Indriyas collect, the Vishaya, the senses, eyes come in contact with the object, right? but it is not I which is processing, because I is dead. It is like a telescope. Telescope is dead. A person behind the telescope sees what is there on the other side. Right? So similarly, I is a material dead object. It doesn't have consciousness. The person within, but the person over here is Jiva. Jiva is spiritual in nature, so it cannot act on its own. So it is given instruments to process that. So what is that instrument that is processing? The first instrument that is processing is mind, right? Mind notices the object, but if the mind doesn't notice the object, it is skipped, right? For example, we may be sitting in Bhagavatam class, right? But our attention is somewhere else. We will not hear a single word. Right? That is what happens in the Zoom sessions, generally Zoom or YouTube or other. That's what happens. So, Sachinanda
No,
Maharaj
Prabhuji,
always.
focusing, Prabhuji.
No.
Prabhuji,
Some
Prabhuji.
devotees. The possibility is more. The possibility is more. Keeping attention
Not
is.
get in the car with no.
Sachinanda Maharaj says this is like taking empty capsule. Empty capsule, you feel I have taken a capsule. I attended a class.
Placebo.
Placebo effect. I attended a class, but everything goes up, through up. You don't understand anything, right? Or may understand few things here and there. No, the point is, it's just jokes apart. I am not against Zoom. That's why I keep Zoom and YouTube classes, because it's difficult for some devotees to come in person. But there is a possibility when we are in person, it's different than attending in Zoom or other session. Anyway, coming back to this, the mind notices the object. Most of the times when we are driving on the freeway, do we notice anything around us? No. Why? Because our attention is on the road. Unless we have some Tesla self-driving, it's a different thing. We may be able to look here and there.
Or the garage sale.
Or
Garage sale.
there is a girl saying, yeah, our attention goes there. Yeah. Anyway, the mind notices objects which it puts attention to. This is what we learned in the mind class. You have to put attention to the object itself. And when the attention is put, then what's the next step that happens? The third step that happens is this: the chitta searches the database for past experience. Right? And then the old impressions are activated, the samskaras. So samskaras and chitta is a storehouse, but it has all these emotions and everything related to that particular experience. They are all activated, right? And that actually kicks in the inclination that I like it, because ahankar is also coming into picture. Ahankar, because this particular thing, as I see a samosa, if I see a gulab jamun, I see a whatever which I see which I like, that because I enjoyed it last time, it awakens that I like this. I personally like it, right? So the ego is triggered, and that causes the wave in the vritti. The thought becomes more clear, though I want to enjoy it. So this is creating vibrations in our vritti. I enjoy it or I dislike it, I hate it. So therefore, you see a person and you become angry. Right? Or you hear about a person, you become angry. Because of this deep chitta vrittis. It is surfaced up. Because of the samskara, it comes to the surface level and it is manifested as an anger. Right? And because we are connecting with ourselves, it becomes important to me. And then comes the role of buddhi. First mind activates, then buddhi activates and say, oh, this is not good for you. So intelligence then evaluates and decides whether this is good or bad, right, for me, right? Oh, okay, did I skip this? Abhilash?
Skip that.
Oh, sorry. So Abhilasha means desire. I want to really enjoy it. Okay. Specific desire. I must buy this. Right? Like you go on the road and you see iPhone 17 on the boarding hoardings. and you see multiple times, and then you go to office and then you hear some podcast or something and they are talking about a iPod or whatever. iPod is a old thing. Apple Watch. Right? So then our mind says, "Oh, you Krishna is sending this to you again and again." Looks like Krishna wants me to
It's a
buy
signal.
this. The signal Krishna wants me to buy this. So mind presents us in such a way that intelligence is convinced.
If I have that, then I'll be
I can
on time for my seva.
exactly. I'll be on time.
That's how we connected to God.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so in
So,
Buddhi evaluates and decides that, and then finally that.
so the buddhi, sorry to like
No
the
worries.
buddhi, can that be clouded by Maya? Like, so there is some term, right? Maya aparhita jnana, or like, is buddhi always comes to the forefront, or is it possible that your buddhi gets, you know, covered by Maya? Is my
Yes.
question.
Yeah. So this Buddhi, the way it acts is this intelligence can be, which will come little later. This Buddhi currently it is a material Buddhi because it has received the intelligence. How do we receive intelligence?
Oh, okay.
Right. How do we receive intelligence? By studying books, right? So far it is a materially intelligent Buddhi or materially dominated intelligence is there in the Buddhi. That Buddhi needs to be spiritualized.
Mm.
That Buddhi needs to be spiritualized. I'll bring a Prabhu, this is a very nice question actually. Thank you. I appreciate it. Because there's a very important point which I want to bring. So when, let's say we are having a material intelligence, not very much, we have some spiritual understanding, but then we have, let's say, mostly material understanding. And we pick up Bhagavad Gita and start reading. What happens? Right? The Buddhi will evaluate.
Like a material
Ha.
to Bhagavad.
The Buddhi will apply the material intelligence to the spiritual matter or spiritual subject matter.
So that's also the samskara. Right? Samskara
Yeah,
is also
because it is going back here, right? It is going back here.
because now, like for example, you know, Neha Vikrama Nasosi, right? So wherever we finish up, we pick up in the next life. It's making sense more to me. It connected now because it's part of the samskara, and it's there.
Yes.
So that's why we will not lose it.
Yes.
Is that
yeah, absolutely. And that is coming to the last. Probably there are 6 classes in this session. So probably in the 4th, 5th, or 5th class this will come.
Yeah. So wherever we leave it off, we pick it up because it's part.
It has part become a nature of your samskara.
Yeah.
So even if we are studying Bhagavatam or if we are studying Bhagavad Gita or any other literature, we are using the material buddhi, and the examples that are popping up in our mind is basically the material intelligence. What has been basically, we don't have the understanding, the spiritual depth or understanding of that particular subject matter. Therefore, the process of spirituality is the process of hearing. And we are going to go, I think in the next session is going to come. It is not reading, it is hearing. The spiritual journey begins with Shravanam. Why? Because all this depth, there is all dirt. It is no spiritual connections. It cannot relate. Therefore, Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Not Mana Darpana Marjanam, not Buddhi Darpana Marjanam. He's saying Cheto Darpana Marjanam, because in Cheta, all these things are there. Thank you, Prabhu.
Also,
Bring up.
Prabhupada says, right, when we read the Bhagavad Gita, at least theoretically, we should accept Krishna to be the supreme when we read it.
Yeah.
Again, it just occurred to me, is it because that activates the chitta? And, so then we will have better realization because it activates certain parts of the chitta that has, maybe based on our past experience or something like that.
We might have the previous, we don't know. Therefore, the safest is the process of hearing, because that's the quickest way to progress.
No, I'm not talking about hearing versus reading. I'm just saying, because Prabhupada says, even if you're hearing, but at least theoretically we should, accept Krishna to be supreme when we read when we listen to Bhagavad Gita.
Right. In the beginning of the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says very first,
Yeah.
that at least theoretically accept Krishna.
I'm trying to connect.
Yeah, correct.
To activate certain parts based on past experience or something where we can better understand it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, those are covered because our intrinsic nature is to desire, more for me and, more of from a material standpoint.
Yeah.
And
But Prabhupada has repeatedly, currently I'm reading Bhagavatam, and in every time repeatedly Prabhupada is mentioning Shravram is the most important.
Correct. Prabhu is saying the same thing actually.
Yeah. So reading is important, but Shravanam is most important. Repeatedly said.
Yes, absolutely. Because Shravana means you're using external intelligence. And external intelligence to learn the subject matter. Shabda Brahman, it's coming through a devotee or. Anyway, so.
What's the difference? Sorry, reading. So you're saying difference between reading and listening?
There are multiple differences, Prabhu. There is a whole discussion we did about like couple of hours of discussion about how actually hearing is better from a devotee. And I think we are going to cover a little bit here also. Because the Shabda Brahman do not enter unless a devotee intervenes.
Yeah, I mean, that is, that's easy to understand actually, that difference. Thank you. I mean, like if you hear Amrendra Prabhu describe a section or a chapter and you are reading it, there's a big difference, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And not only that, the Shabda Brahman is coming through his mouth. See,
their consciousness.
His consciousness is mixed with that. And that, so the sound is not like one level. Sound has 4 levels. There is a para, there is a pashyanti, there is a madhyama, and then what we are hearing is vaikari. This is there in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam. So vaikari is what is entering in our ear, but vaikari is the final output that is entering into our ears. But before that, there are 3 other steps, which is para, pashyanti, madhyama. That sound, when comes in contact with the samvit and ladini shakti of that devotee, when it is mixed with that, and when it enters into our ears, that Sandhini and Ladini Shakti, Samvit and Ladini Shakti of Krishna enters into our heart through the layers, then that actually enters into our heart, and then that has a capacity to purify our heart. So bhakti is something to be ignited by a person who is a devotee. It's a science actually. There are a lot of details in that. Of course, then there is a gap you see over here. There's a lake flowing, a stream of water, not lake. Why this gap is there? Because then that buddhi, if we stop there, it doesn't become karma. But then we put that into action, that becomes karma. And then that experience is again noted in the chitta, and that becomes a new samskara.
New ledger entry.
New ledger entry. Transaction entry happens. And that pushes it to be done again. So this is a 12-step journey that happens.
So Prabhu, with thoughts, if it goes till buddhi and you don't perform a karma,
there is no
There
reaction.
is no reaction, there is no pop.
In Kali Yuga. In Satya Yuga, Treta, Dwapar, there is reaction. But the thing is, if it is even coming up to here, is a danger because it will push us to do the action.
Because Vasana
Eventually,
is there, Ahankara is there,
yeah.
it'll move forward.
It'll move forward, it'll push.
Push buddhi.
Yeah. Okay. So anatomy of karma. So then that karma again fructifies in the next life. It takes a form of a seed and it comes into the sprout form. Then it goes as a tree, which is aprarabdha. It is going to come and then it becomes prarabdha with the fruits. Right? However, there are seeds with underlying this prarabdha, which are explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini. There's unwanted traits, like these are the weeds that he explains, like unwanted traits, the lust, anger, pride, that originates from this karmic seed, and this actually obstructs our bhakti. So there is some examples given over here. Illusion of identity, like if you take a theater, right, the chitta is like what is being presented on the screen, right? Or another theater example can be given, which is not here, is when you go to the theater, actually, you see there are scripts and all the manuscripts or what is going to be performed is there sitting in a storage, right? So that is like a chitta. That's a storehouse, right? Then that script is enacted on a stage, right? So the stage is a mind, right? And the person who is watching is a jiva, right? So he is watching that actually because jiva has nothing to do here, right? And what is false ego? The person who is acting is thinking, I am that particular character, right? So here in this particular example, the buddhi is the manager who decides when to stop, when to start the thing that is being projected here, right? And the chitta vritti is whatever is movement happening in the screen. The screen itself is the chitta, and then there is a movement that happens. The jiva is the audience, right? But this jiva eventually connects itself with the things that is going on in the screen. We identify like with a hero. When the hero is, I used to do that. When you small in the movie theater, when the hero is beating up, following the hero. So I remember this. And kids do it actually. Because we identify with that hero and beat that up. So the jiva is the audience, is a pure soul observing, but however the ahankar is the tragic flaw. The viewer becomes so absorbed that he forgets that they are watching and think that I am the hero of the screen. This is false identification, is the root of bondage. Okay. Similarly, there are many other examples that can be taken. The example of a jiva, which is like a driver, and the car itself is the body. This example is very common. However, it needs to be transformed into this spiritual identity, which is I am Krishna's servant. Similarly, you take a virtual reality thing in which you see some things and you become part of it. And in fact, I had one experience of having this VR set in my head, and that in that there was a roller coaster, and I couldn't stand actually. I was just sitting because my mind actually I was going nowhere. But that imagine it, the thing in the screen, it will taking you through here, there, So this is
Can be
20.
disorienting.
Yeah, it was very disorienting. So so basically objects, as I said, all the objects are dead. Like this sofa is dead, this table is dead, this laptop is dead. So this death things cannot create experience. It is the chitta vritti which is happening and our association of that object which is entering our senses. And then it gives you that experience where the emotions are generated. These are all stored in the chitta. So chitta vritti is actually causing that dead object to become alive. Working of all these things together. The same thing, actually, we take the same senses, the same chitta, right? The same mind, which is there in work, to temple. So can we change it suddenly, switch on and off? No, we cannot change actually. The external activities are identical. The internal consciousness of the devotees, that is different. So what has happened with a new devotee who is just entering to temple and doing some seva, and somebody who is experienced? The difference is external, they are doing same. Internal is totally different. The internal of that person is totally different. Because his chitta has now transformed into a spiritual chitta.
Maybe it should be immature and mature devotee, because
Yeah,
new devotees can also be mature.
I mean, in the sense, you are right.
Yeah.
Yeah, immature and
Just because
mature.
we're doing, like, I don't consider myself.
No. I'm saying,
I
yeah.
do service for a long
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. What I'm saying is somebody who has matured,
Yeah.
whose chitta has changed over practice of time
Correct.
for them. So basically, this is the same, while japa, all these thoughts are coming up one by one, right? Who's administering the thoughts? We asked this question in the beginning. Right? So now from the Gaudiya Vaishnava perspective, in generally, if you go to any other yoga process, you go to Ashtanga yoga process by Bhagavan Patanjali, or you go to any other Sri Adi Shankaracharya's impersonalism or any other philosophy, if you go, they want to, or in Buddhism also, most of their systems try to empty the lake. Desirelessness. Nirvishesha, Sunyavadi, Pascharchat. Prabhupada came for that purpose. Most systems try to empty the lake. However, bhakti fills the lake with Krishna. That's a difference in bhakti. So this material chitta vritti, which is there, right? Material vishaya, material samskara, material vasanas, material desires, and then which results into how can I enjoy, is transformed into Shravanam, Kirtanam, spiritual samskaras, spiritual vasanas, and then intense greed for Krishna. That develops naturally. It's a result of doing these things. So spiritually, our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas have given this solution that replace these tendencies, right, with Shravanam Kirtanam. Right? The result is pure bhakti reaches absolute truth, chitta, and gradually burns all stages of karma, including bija, kuta, aparabdha, and pararabdha. And that is what we discussed in Madhurya Kadambini, right? Chapter number 2, if you remember. We discussed this point that bhakti has this Shravanam and Kirtanam has a potency to burn from root. What it has potency to burn from the roots or burn the seeds actually. These are the stages, right? Bija, Kuta, these are the stages. It has capacity to burn all these things. And Kleshagni, right? That's the first effect. And then gradually this will develop. And then finally, we will be able to realize this. Jiver Swarup is Krishna Nityadas. Right now it is different. I am the center. From there, basically we turn our samskara, we replace our samskara with Krishna conscious samskara, and then that can evoke prema.
Yeah, this a similar picture I think you had some basically pouring clean water into muddy water. Keep on pouring till everything displays and becomes clean.
That was the verse from Bhagavatam where how the Harikatha actually, when Harikatha enters in our heart, it acts like the rain water. Yeah. But those days, notebook alum was not there. So I had to manually
That's a nice, analogy.
Yeah.
Use.
Exactly. So these are the topics which we are talking about attention, what we studied is the inner instruments, because these are going to be used in, sorry, before that. Okay. So now, actually, today's class begins. We just covered all the basics. Actually, there is no week class next week because we are going to Portland. Next week, Portland, right? Yeah.
Friday, January.
No, we are going on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So my Guru Maharaj will be coming. So next week we won't have class. So we'll continue after the next Friday. Okay. So here is, why does my attention naturally flow towards everything else except Krishna, even when I'm sincerely wants to remember him? Now this is a similar kind of question Arjuna asked, right? Atakena in the 3rd chapter. I don't want to do something, but I am forced to do this. Right? So the answer to this is this from a very elevated Vaishnava, which is Vaisheshika Prabhu. He has answered this question: where attention goes, actually energy flows. This is a short answer. Now this can be opened up into various levels. Now this is a term which is where attention goes, energy flows, is used by Tommy Robbins, who is a, um, what is that term? This motivational speaker. Yeah, he's a very famous motivational speaker. So I think Maharaj must have taken from there, but he is very famous, and he quotes this again and again: where attention goes, energy flows. But this is also connection with bhakti, the Gaudiya Vaishnava science of focus, taste, and tattva. Right? Now we are using this, the connection over here. We see a devotee. He has received message from Srila Prabhupada, right? Basically, it's basically our position. And we are in a junction where we see both the worlds. One is the material realm with all its allurements, and other is the information given in the books of Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures, where we hear about Krishna and his devotees and his pastimes in Vrindavan and all this Gopakumar and so many others. Right? So we are at this junction, and
I think there's probably a third dimension of allurements of other philosophies.
That is also there. Yes. But I think now we are fixed to Prabhupada.
Yeah.
At least we are fixed to Prabhupada.
But as we start,
yeah. Yes. There is allurement. That is, we waste so much time, But at least now we are fixed to some extent that Srila Prabhupada, at least we have some faith that, Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada is the right direction to follow. So this brings us to the discussion of Bhagavad Gita itself. In that verse, let's chant together. Dhyayate vishayam pumsa sangaste shubhupajayate sangha sanjayate kama kama krodha abhijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smritiribhrama smriti bhramsa buddhinasho buddhinasa prashriti. So it begins with dhyayate vishaya pumsa. While contemplating on the object of senses, a person develops attachment for them. Now again, remember all the terms we discussed, right? Because these terms are very critical. So dhyayate vishaya pumsa, when you use this term, you have to go through that particular cycle,
That river.
That river, yeah. This one. Right. So this is a sick. As soon as we put attention to something, we want attachment, right? We are attached to that. We want to contemplate on the object of the senses, right? A person develops attachment for that. Why? Again, first time when you are seeing something, will you develop attachment?
It depends, I think.
Yeah, but in general, let's say you have never eaten rasgulla, and somebody brings in rasgulla plate in front of you.
It has to be there in the samskar.
Yeah.
So then
Something connected to that has to be there.
Or somebody told you, hey, you should.
That is also a
Yeah.
That's also samskara.
not your experience, somebody else's experience.
So it has to be there in the samskara level. Otherwise, if it's something first time, let's say beautiful Chinese song, will it attract us? No, because we don't have that samskara. So mind flows naturally where it expects pleasure in different forms, Pleasure can manifest in a different way. Like I was hearing His Holiness, not His Holiness, His Grace Rajab Bihari Prabhu, his class, right? Yeah. So that class is extraordinary, actually, really nice. It is the way he presented it. So he says that, sometimes the anger comes out in form of laughing loud. He's giving the example of Hiranyakashipu. So similarly, the pleasure also, it can take different form. It can create fear, it can create desire, it can create pride, is expressed in a different way.
Like even
So-
watching horror movie is pleasurable.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's scary but pleasurable. Or tasting like hot honey. It's pleasurable because it's giving sweetness, but it's still at the same time it's very hot. So the thing is, the object, the way it will manifest, we don't know actually. So Krishna is infinitely attractive like magnet. So Krishna is like this. He's a magnetic personality, we can say. However, if our heart is covered by material desires, right? Because this, if you see over here, the rust on the top of this particular object, it's a metal, it's an iron. Normally it should attract here, but it doesn't because of attraction somewhere else. Right? Because of the attraction somewhere else. So the core equation is attention. Where our attention goes, that reveals our attachment. Because if attachment is there, wherever is our attachment, immediately our attachment, it will naturally go. Right? It will naturally go. We don't have to work towards it. So again, coming back to this mind, beyond the mind, what is happening is in the depth of chitta, that is a root cause. I'm not going to go into detail. It's just a diagram which should give you some idea about the chitta, manas. We already covered this. There is another way to look at it. We already studied this. So the depth of distraction or the depth of attachment is not at the surface level. It is at the level of samskaras. It is very deep attachment. So the mind is not the root cause, because mind is just like viewing the screen. You're just viewing the screen and you're just viewing the surface level. But below the surface level, there are so many things. Right? So, and when the attention goes there, dhyayate vishaya pumsa sangaste supajayate, contemplating of the object of senses. So contemplation requires what? Prior to contemplation, there is attention.
Where the senses are.
Yeah. So let's take the example of inattention while doing service. Right? Inattention while doing service means there is attention somewhere else. Therefore, there is inattention here. Mind is preoccupied somewhere else. Do you see the sequence?
Yep.
So, inattention.
They have to be attentive somewhere.
Yes, that's the point. Is
Somewhere else.
why is there attention somewhere else? That is because of attachment. Attachment to something else apart from that service. Make the sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Therefore, it is seeking attachment. because of the attachment, it is seeking our attention there, right? So contemplating of the object of senses develops attachment, and again develops attention. This is a first time sequence, and then that develops its desire. Why desire is developed? Because its connection with the whole chitta. And if it is not satisfied, it develops to frustration or anger. If it is satisfied, it turns into greed. Why it turns into greed?
One more.
We want more. Why?
Because we are so get more attached
Yes, why?
and increases the desire.
Yeah, why it is increasing? It is stored in the samskara, right?
Samskara, yeah.
Right?
And becomes more stronger.
Exactly.
Vasana.
Exactly. It becomes vasana. It becomes part of the samskara. It is so that's why it is becomes stronger and stronger, and because of its strength, what happens? Next time it creates more anger. If there is an obstacle.
Higher level of samskar.
Yeah, higher level of samskara, and therefore higher level of attachment, therefore higher level of anger.
Frustration and anger.
Frustration and anger, right?
More waves.
More waves, right? So you see now
Intense, more and more intense.
it becomes more and more intense. So again, impressions we already saw. So this is like a whirlpool, and it is picking up force. Therefore, if you remember, we talked about in Madhurya Kadambini, the Vidya. Yeah. What was next?
Vidya, then
Asmita. Asmita. And then Raga.
Raga, Dvesha. Raga, Abhinivesh. Dvesha, Abhinivesh.
And then that turns into Abhinivesh. And then subsequent karma and all this, right? So avidya means, what is avidya? Avidya is nothing but
lack of spiritual knowledge.
There's a knowledge or spiritual knowledge. And then you connect that with asmita. Asmita means I-ness at that particular moment. Right? So again, this is a very deep topic. So, but everything we connect with us. Therefore, ahankara is one of the most, false ego is the most discussed thing because of this. Because everything which I connect with myself, it makes the thing 100 times, 1,000 times stronger. And then raga means attachment or liking. Dvesha means hatred, aversion. But that raga doesn't remain raga. It becomes intense raga. Therefore, that state is called as abhinivesh or raga abhinivesh and dvesha abhinivesh. Means intense liking or intense disliking. So this is the whole cycle that is going on. And because of that, it is very, very difficult to come out. It's like a whirlpool, right? Whirlpool is always going in the center. Therefore,
so we have to clean the samskar.
Yeah.
That's the whole.
There's the whole idea.
That's the only way.
There is the only way. There is no other way.
Krishna samskar.
Yes.
Pour clear water.
Pour clear water. There is no
Go
other.
on pouring clear water.
Right. So this is a cycle of momentum. It picks up momentum as we keep interacting every moment, every moment. Ultimately, it is our bodily consciousness that is getting kicked in. Right? So wandering mind is a diagnostic tool that I am attached.
Yeah.
It gives us an indication. Right? So it's a realization when attention wanders during sadhana, do not merely become frustrated. Ask this question: what is my mind teaching me about my present attachments? Right? So another way to look at it, see our spiritual life, our acharyas are like amazing, right? The way we look at things, the way they look at things. So while in the chanting process also, our mind gets, and when we become aware of that, right? The way they say is the Paramatma is revealing what you are attached to.
Mm.
We fight for that. My mind is wandering. They have reversed it.
He's telling
You see the reversal?
Yeah,
The reversal is that,
this is what you need to purify.
yes, Paramatma is telling you that this is what you need to, you are attached to this particular thing. That's why it is popping up. Right. See, here is distraction exposes where is the heart still seeks shelter apart from Krishna.
Yeah.
Advanced devotee use distraction to identify what needs purification. We focus on distractions. Advanced devotee, Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they see these things in this way. Right? This is a very eye-opening thing for us, isn't it? We focus on distractions, whereas they're saying, no, this is what needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Right? So the example is the doctor, when you go to a doctor for, let's say you're sick, health checkup, you are sick, you went to doctor. What is the first thing doctor does?
They check the vitals.
No, right, of course. But then what does it say? Okay, you have particular disease. So he reveals the disease.
Gives the medicine, specific medicine.
Right. But first thing what he does, he reveals the disease. Yeah, he reveals the disease, right? First he reveals the disease. Then he gives medication. So similarly, Paramatma is first revealing the disease, that this is our attachment. And then he has given the medicine anyway. Is it making sense?
Yep.
Sometimes distraction can also happen not just because of things that you are attached to, but distraction can also happen because something that is coming up you are worried about. You're not attached to, you don't want it, but you're thinking about this because, say, if you have a meeting after you're doing your sadhana, you're thinking already about what is coming next. Your mind is tuned to, like,
Yeah.
how I will have to do that. Something else is coming.
Yeah.
You don't like to do that. It's not a pleasure. It's not something that you would like, but still it will come to you.
But then you have to go deeper and deeper level to understand why we are thinking about that. I mean, that's a maybe one-on-one discussion we can do about that.
But I have to figure out how to compartmentalize.
Yeah.
That's the important aspect.
The important thing is you have to compartmentalize. You may not be attached, but you are attached to something else, which is causing that particular work to be done, right?
For the outcome, we are worried about.
Yeah, you're worried about the outcome, right?
You can always feel that the thoughts, on some days if you are doing japa, some days thoughts will be more, some days thoughts will be more silent, and the focus is more very clear.
Yeah. No,
and
for
like
everybody.
Going back to, like, in earlier class you said, like, those 22 hours makes like how the quality that you put in that 22 hours gives you the quality in that 2 hours.
Yeah. We went to a couple of japa sessions, with my Guru Maharaj. And according to my Guru Maharaj, Bada Hari Prabhu is one of the best, according to Kirtan here, of course. But in chanting also, he's like amazing. His chanting is really good. But sometimes he says,
my chanting
he's like a desert. When he was chanting, he said, like in a 64 round day, he said, it was like a desert. What is going through a desert means this all over, like, nothing. It's all dry. No rasa, nothing. It's just like mechanical. So even to advanced devotees, this happens. But, through discussion, through proper prayerful mood, there are techniques like that which can help us.
And he also says sankalpa.
Sankalpa,
beginning you have a sankalpa then. okay, I want to do this round, one round.
Yes.
Start.
Big goals, yeah. If you say,
Another one, actually, I like this, like Prem Tarangi Mataji did this exercise, like just close your eyes and think that Krishna is sitting in front of you. And just visualize Krishna is sitting and he's observing. And you're chanting in front of Krishna. So more personalizing the experience, then your chanting will improve that way, because he is observing, he's right there in front of.
Yeah, so there are many such small, you can talk to devotees and they can explain you in person that what are the tips you can use.
But if you think like, like I think sometimes, work is too busy, there's so much going on, this, that. We should just, we should read about Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He was a district magistrate, and he had, for family. How many children? Forgetting.
Like 12, 13.
Yeah, he had many children. So he had a household. He was a district magistrate, and then he was, he wrote so many books. So details are there about his his daily, what was his routine.
Yeah.
Of course, we cannot
compare.
I can't even aspire to, get there. He is so elevated, but it's an inspiration to, because he was in a very, very important position. In fact, the Britishers, they built a railway line from his home to Krishnanagar, so that he can, because he said, I won't move to Krishnanagar, I'll live in the Navadvip only. So they built a railway line just for him to transport him to the district magistrate office. Yeah. He's such an important person, but he has written so much. His contribution is extraordinary. Yeah. So devotees are, then Krishna actually empowers. Based on our desire, Krishna empowers. Of course, he is a Golokavasi. It's a different scenario. But in our case also, he empowers according to our capacity. The intense desire. Intense desire. I think the Sankalpa helps with that, to kind of reinforce that strong desire at that time, and then help focus. Right. Very nice points. But so we saw this example of a doctor. So doctor first he reveals the disease. And then he gives the treatment. So similarly, Paramatma was sitting in our heart. He reveals what we are attached to. And then that's a disease. And then the cure is very simple. Like keep on chanting. That chanting itself is the cure. So ultimately, the truth is like, the attention will naturally follow where our attention is. Attention will naturally follow whom we love. And then Srila Rupa Goswami, he gives this evolution of absorption, right? In the 7th verse of Upadeshamrita, in the Anusmriti, Srila 7th or 8th verse? I think 7th verse of Upadeshamrita. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gives this, how this transformation happens. That there is a lot of details, but this is just a short summary of what he's saying, that attention, deliberate conscious focus on the holy name of the form, that gives us continuous remembrance thoughts, and then that develops attachment, and then bhava, and then finally the pure prema. So in bhakti, attention is not merely concentration, it is the genesis of anusmriti, remembrance, right? What starts as deliberate discipline blossom into spontaneous absorption. Like for mother, you don't have to tell a mother to love his child. It is spontaneous. It's a natural, right? Like other day, His Grace Gaurang Darshan Prabhu was saying that when we perform these things, the Ashtasakrika Vikara, which happens in the body, these are automatic. Ata Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavat gharai vindiya swayam sevan mukhe hi jivada swayam eva spuradhyata. So this Ashtasatvika Vikara, like tears flowing, the bhava, these are all natural side effects. Our job is this. And remembrance, anusmriti. So
the solution, now we were talking about that, right, earlier. The solution is carving new groves. So in the field, with the help of hearing and chanting, with the help of remembering, with the help of deity worship, you need to make the water flow through a new channel. Right? And this is explained in that verse, Bhagavatam, as we discussed last week also in the summary. This is the most important chapter of the first canto, in fact, the entire Bhagavad Gita, entire Srimad Bhagavatam. First canto, chapter number 2. Right? Divinity and devotional service. So, the verse, this is talking Srinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vidyantasto Yavadrani Vidhunoti Shrisita. So what is the first word? Shrinvatam, right? Hearing. Right? And Prabhupada, so here the Prabhupada translated as Krishna, who is sitting in the Paramatma in everyone's heart, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotees who has developed the urge to hear his message. Yes. Who has developed urge to hear. So it is basically re-educating our attention. Yeah. You cannot simply force attention. You must replace lower attraction with higher. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinam raso varjam rasopiyasya param drishtanya. That has, the higher attraction has to happen automatically. Positive engagement like hearing, chanting, remembering, these are the things which is given. Savanam Kirtanam. These activities place new samskara into the chitta. So carving these things, serving devotees, deity worship, all this, in fact, all this 4 does different things. It is going to come later. Each of them is for this hearing. I'll just say, hearing and chanting is for the purpose of chitta vritti, cleansing the chitta vritti. This does that job. So old grooves weaken and new grooves form. The mind begins naturally flow towards Krishna, right? You close the other ones, other paths, naturally it is flowing towards this direction. Yeah. However, we struggle with hearing Krishna Katha. Why is that? Isn't it? Yeah. Why is it difficult to hear Krishna Katha attentively for long periods? How many days Sukadeva Goswami discussion between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva? 7 days, right? And Sukadeva Goswami was periodically checking. Do you need a break? He said, no, I don't need break. I am satisfied by Krishna Katha. But for us, it is very difficult to sit and hear Krishna Katha for a longer period of time. And there is a reason for that. Why is it so difficult to hear Krishna Katha attentively for a long period? The reason is because we are attention and focus somewhere else for lifetimes. So we have developed the taste for that, very natural taste for that. Now we have to develop a new natural taste. It has to naturalize slowly.
And that's why actually Radhika Raman Prabhu says, because we came down because we want to enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's why that's the natural state. Impersonalism is the natural
state. Yeah.
Because we want to enjoy.
Yeah. Okay, so actually I'll stop here because it's 9:07 and this is again a new topic within this and it requires some discussion. So we will continue this after next week, which means next week we won't have class. So 26 we won't have class, but we'll have class on 3rd July, which is Friday. Yeah.
That will be long weekend, Prabhuji.
Okay, so maybe devotees will be out. So maybe 10th July. Okay. Thank you so much. Grantharaj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.